a word that ignites the most division, a word that produces the most negative presumptions, a word that is manipulated more than any other word in America's political war, is progressive, especially the use of progressive as a weapon. I don't know when or where progressive first was adopted as a political label. I do know that this word, which in our brain is automatically processed as an adjective, has been hijacked to be a noun. But because the brain processes it as an adjective, even as a noun, it creates a judgmental usage that seems to become the blood-stained cultural ground on which our current devastating war of misused language is being fought. So it is time to step back from the trenches, join together in a flyover to get to see the greater context, the country that supposedly both sides of the war love, but that in reality, both sides of the war are turning into uninhabitable space. So let's begin our flyover by looking at what progressive means outside the political sphere. Then we'll be able to look at the uncertain definition of its political use, including how it has become so agenda-laden that its positive meanings have been paved over with lead and concrete, with no communication, no cooperation, no dialogue, no respect, and no problem solving currently penetrating it. What did or does progressive mean? Well, as I researched this, and as you can tell, it was a little more difficult than one would expect, it became clear that first we have to define the word progress, which is the heart of the word progressive. And you will find that progress can be used as a verb or a noun. Yes, I know, I always go to Oxford first, and then Merriam-Webster, and I will continue. In the Oxford Dictionary, the meaning of progress is forward or onward movement toward a destination. And the meaning of progress as a verb is move forward or outward in space or time. Let me say that a little more clearly. Move forward or onward in space or time. The opposite of progress, according to Oxford, is return. The opposite of progress is return. Now, in Merriam-Webster, the noun progress is defined as a forward or onward movement, sounding familiar here now, as to an object or to a goal. And its second definition is gradual betterment, especially the progressive development of humankind. On the verb side of the definition for Merriam-Webster, number one is to move forward or proceed, and number two is to develop a higher, better, or more advanced stage. So the core definition of progress is to move forward. It holds the optimistic evolutionary outlook of passing into a better or more advanced state, but the core meaning is about movement. And the evolutionary expectation of the future is not in the base meaning of the word, but is a modern implant. Please note that the opposite of progress is not to go backward, but rather to return. This is important because in politics, as in life, it is impossible to return to what was. Change and movement are a given. The past is irrevocably in the past. We might borrow from the past's lessons and ideas. We might value it as a teacher and a warning of what can happen, but we cannot return. In politics, as in life, what is past is past. What is today is minute by minute becoming the past. The journey in politics, as in life, is always into the future. And while the future might be predicted and discussed and planned for, the future always remains unknown. The future always remains unknown. An uncertainty that its advocates, as well as the ones who fear it, both hate. We want certainty, but in politics, as in life, it is impossible to attain. One of the amazing things about our constitutional founders is that they understood this reality related to the future and the past. They understood and created a constitution expecting that reality to come to pass and to accommodate. Perhaps this is one of the foundations needed for political cooperation, dialogue, respect, and problem solving. Accepting the future is always uncertain. Now, with that foundational understanding of the word progress as the natural order of forward movement, let's look at the definition and the usage of the word progressive. Oxford, as you expected. Happening or developing gradually or in stages, proceeding step by step. Some similar words are continuing, growing, increasing, developing, continuous, ongoing, accelerating, escalating, cumulative, and again, step by step. The second noun meaning, or the second adjective meaning of progressive in the Oxford Dictionary is of a group of or person or idea favoring or implementing social reform, a new liberal ideas. Now this clearly is a political definition and a self-description. As a noun, progressive in the Oxford Dictionary is defined as a person advocating or implementing social reform or new liberal ideas. So you can see that popular usage has now been imported into the dictionary. So it's easy then to see that the very meaning itself of progressive was a development, or because of the development of the political label. But still, there are some similar words that pull us a little back from the political state. Innovator, reformer, a noteric. Yeah, noteric, N-E-O, sorry, neoteric. N-E-O-T-E-R-I-C, N-E-O-T-E-R-I-C, having to do with new. Progressive in Merriam-Webster, first, of or relating to or characterized by progress. Subcategories there are listed as making use of or interested in new ideas, findings, or opportunities. and also of relating to or constituting an educational theory marked by emphasis on the individual child, informality of the classroom procedure, and encouragement of self-expression. Obviously, the realm of education, not politics. The second definition in Merriam-Webster for progressive is of, relating to, or characterized by progression. Only a subtle difference. Number 3, moving forward or onward, advancing. Number 4, 2 parts, increasing in extent or severity. And the second part, increasing in rate as the base increases. Then it lists a meaning that says is often capitalized, of or relating to political progressives. Ah, surprise. And 6th, of, relating to or constituting a verb form that expresses action or state in progress at the time of speaking or at a time spoken of. Again, a little outside of our general definitions here tonight. So clearly, progress and progressive rest on the foundation of movement. But unlike current expectations and rhetoric, the need for change are values of both the liberal and the conservative. That's important to remember. Unlike current expectations and rhetoric, progress and the need for change are values of both the liberal and the conservative. The liberal value of change and forward movement is inescapable. But because of the current verbal warfare, many people today would be surprised to hear the following. The conservative understands that permanence and change must be recognized and reconciled in a strong, healthy society. Without progression, a people stagnate. The problem with progressive as a political term is not so much what its core definition is or what its characteristics are, but rather the negative assumptions made against people who are not under that label progressive, and the assumption that only liberals and Democrats are progressive. We saw when looking at liberal and conservative that both define themselves as interested in change and progress. And both state that change and progress are natural within life, society, and politics. Both have thinkers and think tanks that practice thinking up new ways of doing things and are open to change. But unfortunately, both would rather sling mud and defame the other system of beliefs than cooperate, dialogue, respect, and problem solve for the common good. Political action-wise, progressives used to be a moving target. And that made conservatives look like sitting ducks. In fact, at one point in time, it looked like the moving target was shooting at the sitting ducks, and the sitting ducks were simply ducking. Anyway, today, progressives are seen as entrenched around a limited set of issues and actions. So we have sitting ducks versus sitting ducks, or political trench warfare. Taking territory in an us, them, fight and flight warfare based on political trench warfare. the result is the country no longer feels like it's moving forward. It feels more like the hollowed out cities left behind at the end of a war. I've been to Bosnia after the end of the war. I've been to Croatia after the end of the war. I have seen those hollowed out cities, both sides of the conflict, having destroyed the other. And yet here in America, already it feels more like the hollowed out cities left behind at the end of a war. Like we're a place that is hell-bent on destroying itself. And already needs to be rebuilt and find some way, some restoration in order to move forward with life and reactivate strength and growth. It feels like deterioration. Maybe we're just shell-shocked. But remember, strength and growth, that's the kind of progress both progressives and conservatives stand for. We saw the other day that conservatives prefer working on the devil they know in order to produce change. And we read that the progressives' willingness to discover the devil that is unknown really defines the two positions that need to be respected. So the position of working on the devil that is known and the position of willingness to discover the devil is unknown really define two positions that need to be respected if the perfecting of our union, the establishing of greater justice, the restoration of the domestic tranquility, and the preservation of our liberties, especially the liberties we the people want, can move forward. Without the building of respect into the national conversation, we will continue to be a nation at war with itself, and the old proverb, a house divided against itself will fall, will come true of our beloved nation.